File permission.
So yeah, so last class we talked about the guys file permissions. So now you understood, right? The file permissions. Sital.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you discussed about the file permissions, right? So the file
Yeah.
permissions would be read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute,
Rewrite execute.
read, write, execute, right? Then
Okay.
ownership also. What are the ownership? Something like a
C
root
head
and
swap.
something like
C
a
head
root.
swap.
Yeah, yeah. So root, right? So these are the permissions of a owner, and this is a root, right? Yeah. So we discussed about this yesterday. Understood, Katiz?
Yeah, sorry. I had to connect on my phone because I'm having some Wi-Fi issue. I think they're probably doing some maintenance or something like that. That's
No
why I was
worries.
connecting.
No worries. No worries. Yeah. So today we will discuss about the disk partitions. So we will discuss about disk partitions. So in the Linux file system hierarchy, so in which directory the device is available? Slash
Dev.
so very good. So slash dev is nothing but a devices. So the hard disk information will be hard disk. What is hard disk is nothing but a HDD. HDD is nothing but a hard disk. Okay, hard disk information will be available. So will be available under the slash dev directory. Slash dev directory. Okay. Yeah. So the disk information, how you can check the disk information in your Windows Linux machine? How you can check the disk information on your Linux machine? Guys, how you can check it?
DH option T. DH option H.
D
DH option. Sorry. DH
option
H.
H.
H capital T also. DH option. H capital T.
DH option H capital T, right? So command not found, Tulasi.
DHT, sir. DH option T. Sorry, DH option H.
DH option H.
Sir, then first of all, we need to go to the directory, right, sir?
No need. When so that command will execute on anywhere. Wherever you are, you can execute that command. That is the disk information will be showing. So how you can check it in the Windows? Just if you click that PC, right, you will see the disk information, local drive, local disk C, local disk D. The same way, how you can check it in the Linux machine, df-ht. Okay, so df-ht.
Sorry,
T is nothing but a type. So T is nothing but a type. Okay, H is nothing but a human readable format. So it will display. So it will display df-h. What is df? So df is nothing but a
Disk
df is
free.
yes, disk free. And another command du du is nothing but a disk usage. So what are those two commands, guys? du and df. Df is nothing but a disk free, du is nothing but a disk usage. Now you understood? Sital, Kirti, Katiz, Tulasi, how you can check it the disk information. So you can check it the disk information by using df-ht or du. So du, right? So df- is nothing but a disk free. Right, you see guys, slash dev SDA is mounted to slash boot. So this is also /dev. So how you can list the list of block devices. For example, so I want to see the list of block devices. So list of block devices. So what is that? HDD. So HDD information. So you will check it LSBLK list of block devices. What is the command, guys? So df-ht, you will see the disk free means. So what is the disk is attached to? Disk is attached to directory. For example, disk is attached to directory and usage and percentage and how much. So if you execute the df command, but if you execute the lsblk, it will display only the block devices, means hard disk information. What is that? Just a hard disk HDD information will show. So we'll see if you use the command lsblk. So what is the command, guys? So the command is lsblk. Lsblk is nothing but a list of block devices. So the hard disk information will be seeing by using lsblk command. So I want to see the list of block devices. You can go, so where we can check it, the list of block devices, the hard disk information /dev, right? /dev, if you see /dev, so there is a SDA. Now you understood, right? You already know, right? I already told you while FSH file system hierarchy, I already showed every directory. What is this directory, and so what is the purpose of this directory, right? I already told you, right? So something like the disk H hard disk. Yeah. So these are the hard disk. Sorry. One second, guys. Yeah. Yeah, guys. So how many hard disks these are? These are 3 hard disks, right? So something like HDD1 hard disk, HDD2, HDD3. So what is the naming convention in Linux, guys? What is the naming convention? So what these are? These all are SATA disks. So what is the naming convention in the Linux, guys? SD means SATA disk. SD
SATA
means
disk.
SATA disk
SATA disk.
1. 1 we call it as a. Okay. So this information will be available under which directory, guys? /dev SDA. Understood? So the second hard disk /dev Tulsi SDB. So fourth one /dev SDC. So A is nothing but a first hard disk, B is nothing but a second hard disk, C is nothing but a third hard disk. So what is the naming convention in the Linux format, guys? SDA, SATA disk A, SDB, SATA disk B, SDC, SATA disk 3. So in our mission having, so how many hard disks, guys? So for example, Dell PowerEdge R710 HDD. Shit. Yeah, you see, guys. So yeah, you see, these are the hard disk. So now you understood. So these all are the hard disk. How many hard disks we can put it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Now you understood, right? So this is the hard disk. We kept this hard disk. These are the hard disks. Yeah, here. You see? Yeah, guys. How many hard disks are there in this Dell PowerEdge server? How many hard disks, guys? Tulasi? 1, 2.
4.
Yeah, 4. So how many hard disks? So 4 hard disks are kept in this server. Okay. So how many? 4 hard disks. Yeah. So for 4 hard disk names, tell me guys the 4 hard disk names. HDD1.
HDD1, HDD2.
Yeah, HDD1. So we call it as a
Dev
slash
SDA.
dev SDA. Very good. So
HDD2
HDD2, we call it as
/dev SDBB.
SDB.
SDB. Yeah. Katis, tell me. Policy. Can stop. Yeah. What is the third hard disk name?
Slash DV
Hmm.
slash SDC
SDC. Very good.
and slash dev slash SDD.
Yeah. Sorry. SDBC. SDD. So how many hard disks are available in this Dell PowerEdge, Katis?
We have 4 hardware.
Yes, 4 hardwares. Now you understood, right? So
Yes.
these hardwares, I want to see the hardware information in the Linux machine. So what is the command? So what is the command? Kadis, what is the command?
LSBLK.
Yes, very good. So the command, if you want to see the list of, LS means list of, BLK means list of block devices. So list of block devices. So how you can check it? You can check it by using the LSBLK. So the only hard disk information will be showing by using the LSBLK command. I want to see the both. So which hard disk? For example, these are the hard disks. These are the spaces. Yeah. So these are the hard disk, right? So for example, the first hard disk. These hard disk. Hard disk contains. Guys. So this is 500 GB space. This is 500 GB space. This is 500 GB space. Okay. This 500 SDA 500 space. For example, so this SDA I will give it to the OS installation / OS installation. So the SDB I'm using for the log storing. For example, /app logs. So for example, the second hard disk is something like a so some other logs. OPT. For example, I'm giving it to. So I'm giving this to /home. For example. Guys, understood? So now the hard disk space is attached to the directories. So the hard disk space is attached to the directories. For example, this directory contains how much space now? Guys, this directory space, this is the directory, right? /app logs. This is a directory. This directory is attached, this hard disk space is attached to this directory. Now this directory contains how much space, guys?
GB.
Sorry?
500 GB.
Yes, 500 GB. Now this directory contains, so 500 GB. For example, OPT also having 400, for example, 400 GB. So home also, for example, 300 GB. Okay. The hard disk space will attach it to the directories. Guys, now you understood? The hard disk space will attach it to the directories. Now you can check the df-ht. df-ht. Yeah. So this is the space. So this space is attached to which directory, guys? Which directory? /boot directory.
/boot.
So this is also a space. This is also a space. This is also a space. This space is attached to which directory, guys?
Directory.
Which directory?
The parent directory.
Yes, slash. The name call it as a. The slash is attached to. So how much GB? 17 GB. This contains a 17 GB space attached to /. So this 1 GB, for example, 1024 is 1 GB. 1 GB attached to /boot. 1 GB is attached to /boot. So now, so by using df-ht, so we can see the what is the hard disk name and which directory is mounting. The name call it as a mounting. So we are adding space to the app logs, right? This means this name call it as a mount. What is that? So /dev sdb is mounted to which directory, guys? App logs. /dev sdc is mounted to opt directory. /dev sdd mounted to /home directory. /home directory. Guys, now you understood? The hard disk space is attached to directory. You guys remember this word? The hard disk space is attached to directory. So directory that is calling as a mounting. So that is calling as a mounting. Guys, understood? Now you understood. This hard disk information will be mounted to some other directories. So I want to see only the hard disk information by using lsblk. Yeah, now we can check the lsblk command. What is that, guys?
LSBLK.
lsblk. lsblk means list
A
of
list of block
block.
device. Block
list of block devices. List of block devices.
block
List of
devices.
block devices is nothing but a hard disk information. Okay. So what this is SDA. So yeah, what is this? SDA. SDA again divided into SDA1 and SDA2. Okay. So
Yes.
these call it as a partitions. These call it as a partition.
Partitions.
Yeah. So now you understood, right? /dev sda /dev sda is created two partitions. The partitions call it as a the partitions call it as sdb sda1 and sda2. So for example, this sdb contains 500 GB. 500 GB. So for example,
Okay.
these are the two partitions we created. So two partitions we gave 250 GB for SDA1 and 250 GB for
SD2.
SD2.
SDA2.
For example, I want for app logs, I want only 250 GB. I don't want 500 GB for app logs. Okay. For that time, so we will create the partitions. So we will create a two partitions and we created a SDA1 and SDA2 with 250 GB with 250 GB. For example, I want for home, I want something like 250 GB. For home, I want a 250 GB. Now you understood? This 250 GB is attached to app logs. This 250 GB is attached to home. Now you understood? Created two partitions, one SDA1 and SDA2. So created two partitions. One is SDA1 and the other one is SDA2. Now you understood? So this SDA1 is boot. We created as a boot. We created a partition with 1 GB and SDA2 we created a partition with 19 GB. 19. This is the 19 GB and this is the 1 GB. We created a two partitions SDA1 and SDA2. So SDA1 is nothing but a 19 GB and SDA2 is 1 GB. Now you understood? So 20 GB SDA hard disk is 20 GB. Created two partitions. One is SDA1 and other one is SDA2. SDA1 is 1 GB. SDA2 is 19 GB. SDA2 is 19 GB. Guys, now you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right? So this hard disk space is attached to this hard disk
Disks,
space
directories,
directories. This hard disk
directories,
space is attached to directories. For
directories.
example, I don't want 500 GB for Applux. I need only 250 GB for Applux. Then you created a two partitions, one partition for SDA1, other partition for SDA2. So we kept 250 GB, 250 GB for SDA1 and SDA2 250 GB. Now we understood Kati's, Kirti, Seetal, Tulasi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir, I
finally,
got it.
yeah, guys, finally, the hard disk space is attached to
Directories.
directories. This hard disk space is attached to
Directory,
very good,
directories.
directories. This hard disk space is directly attached to directories. Now you understood? So this this part you know it. So if you want to see only the hard disk information, what is the command?
LSBLK.
LSBLK. If you want to see both the hard disk and the mount, the hard disk space is mounted to which directory? The hard disk space is df-ht. Now you understood, right, guys? So if you want to check the only block devices, you can use LSBLK. If you want to check the everything, so df-ht. So it will display the which hard disk is mounted to which mount point, and what is the usage, what is the available space, what is the used space, what is the actual size. It will show it. It will show it in the df-ht command, but it will show the list of block devices only in the. So it will show which mount point is attached to the which partition. But here we did not see the type, size, used, available, usage. Okay. So if you see all these, we can use the df-ht command. If you see only the lsblk, it will display only the list of block devices and mounted to which directory. Which directory? Mounted. Guys, understood? Tulasi, Katis,
Yes,
Kirti,
sir, got
Sitas.
it.
Now you got it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Finally, you understood a hard disk. A hard disk is attached to directory. A hard disk is attached to directory. Here,
Directories.
attachment is nothing but a mounting. Here, attachment is nothing but a mounting. Yeah. So mounting, mount. So here two types of mount. So how many types of mounts? So we have a two types of mounts. One is permanent mount.
Temporary.
Yes. Temporary mount. So what is the permanent mount and what is the temporary mount? So temporary mount is nothing but a temporary mount is nothing but while running the temporary mount, I will tell you this thing, guys. 1 second. So now you understood, right? Guys, is it easy? Disk partitions. Guys, is it easy or not?
Yes,
easy, right? Yeah. So mount points, two types, temporary mount and permanent mount. Now you understood, right? Then again, I am going back to the hard disk. So whenever you purchase the hard disk, from the scan disk, something like Samsung, Western Digital, something like anywhere you bought the. So whoever making this hard disk, so guys, 10 minutes, it will close the recording, then you can join it again. Okay. So yeah. So this hard disk is This hard disk is, so something like who. So when you bought the new hard disk, the hard disk file system type. What is that, guys? File system type. So file system type. Guys, you remember what is that? Type of the file system. So what are the type of the file systems? So XFS, guys, XFS, yeah, file system.
Temporary.
No. So these are the mount points. Mounting are, so mounting, so the mount is two types: temporary mount, permanent mount. This is different. Okay, Katis. Now you understood, right? Mounts are two types: permanent mount and temporary mount. But the hard disk, when we bought the hard disk, right? The hard disk file system type. So the hard disk file system type is null. So when you bought a new hard disk, the file system type is null. So the raw hard disk file system type is null. But the Linux knows, so Linux knows which file systems. So Linux knows, for example, Windows knows which file systems. So which file system? Windows knows NTFS, network type file system. So what is that, guys? Network type file system. But so Linux knows which file systems. Linux knows which type of a file system. So which type of file system? ext2, ext2, ext3, ext4, xfs. So which file system knows only Linux? Guys, so ext2, ext3, ext4 and xfs file system. So xfs, now you understood the type of the file system. So file system type is, so only Linux file system knows only ext2, ext3, ext4 and xfs. So ext2, guys, tell me. So which file system knows the Linux? So Linux knows
X2,
only
X3,
mm,
X2, X3, X4, XFS.
ext2, ext3, ext4, xfs. But so when you bought the Linux, right? When you bought the hard disk, so by default, it is coming. It is coming as a null file system. But Linux knows
ext2,
ext2, ext3, ext4, xfs. So Windows known NTFS. So NTFS. So for example, this raw hard disk is so if this raw hard disk is want to use on Windows, so we need to convert from null to NTFS, right? So the same way, if you want to use this hard disk as a Linux, the Linux mission, definitely we need to convert from null to ext2, ext3, ext4 or xfs. Okay. So I want to convert this hard disk from a null to ext2, ext3, ext4 and xfs. How you can convert? You can convert by using this command mkfs. Mkfs means make file system. So we want to make a file system from null to ext2, ext3, ext4 or xfs. So mkfs xfs. So xfs, which one? /dev sdb1. So sdb1 mkfs dot ext4. So what is the hard disk space, the partition type? What is the partition? sdb2. Now we understood. So we want to convert this hard disk dev/sdb1. So initially it will be a null format. We want to convert it to xfs because of so Linux doesn't understand the null file system. So Linux understand only ext2, ext3, ext4 and xfs. If you want to convert from null to ext2, definitely we can use the mkfs command. What is that? mkfs means make file system. So what is the command of mkfs? MKFS means
Make
Make
file
file
system.
system.
Now you got it, right? Make file
Sir,
system. So make file system, right? I want to create a partitions. I want to create a 2 partitions, SDA1, something like B, second hard disk, SDB1, SDB2. So I want to format this. I want to
excuse me, sir. Sorry, sir. Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
Sir, this XT2, EXT2, EXT3, these are the new version of the each file, sir, or?
Not a version. So something like so Tulsi knows only Hindi language.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So so something like so one boarding, something like a advertisement boarding. In that boarding, they are writing in the Telugu language. They are writing in the Telugu language. Did you understand that Telugu language?
No, sir.
So how did you understand?
There might be one interface would be there.
Definitely you need to convert it.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to something like if you want to know the information, definitely we need to convert it from the Telugu to Hindi. Right. So the hard disk
sir.
knows only null format, but
Yeah.
Linux knows ext2, ext3, ext4, XFS file systems. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
how you can convert? There is a one interface. What is that interface? MKFS is the interface. Now you understood?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Why they created as a null file system, right? So this hard disk will uses on Windows Linux, Windows machine, or a Linux machine, or a Mac machine, or a Unix machine, any one machine, right? Any one OS, for example. So this hard disk will use it on a Windows OS. So if they created as a this hard disk is created as a compatible with the Windows. Is this hard disk is used to Linux machine as well as? No, because of they compatible only in the Windows format.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
I want to use it this hard disk in the Linux machine also. How you can use it? So that's the reason. No. So this is a Windows compatibly. We cannot use it in the Linux.
Yeah.
Right. So based on that formats, they created by default they created a null format. So if you want to use this hard disk in the Windows machine, you can convert it as the NTFS. So if you want to use this hard disk as a Linux machine, you need to convert it in the ext2 format or XFS format. Now you understood?
Okay. Understood, sir. But ext2 and ext3, ext4, is there any difference between these?
Yeah, definitely there is a difference. So what is the difference? For example, ext2. So ext2 something like the file size, right? So I want to copy a file. I want to create a file. For example, I want to copy the file. So you will get the information. You can watch it this. You can read it this one. Then you will get the difference. Linux material, right?
So among those 4 Linux
there is a
file systems,
difference. There is a difference.
we
Definitely.
We can give any one, sir.
We can give. But so based on the flavor.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Based on the flavor.
Flavors.
Day 3. Show all 24. Why it is not showing, guys?